Thank you for joining us today on 344 Live, where we support sellers and job seekers. Please take a moment to support Brandon Baker's job search. He's an SDR looking to inspire 30,000 SDRs to drive pipeline. And welcome back to 344 Live, where I have none other than Rachel Pierce. And I got to say, it's been a few days since I have had a chance to kind of get this up and running again. Guys, I took a long weekend, took my wife to New York. Actually, she took me to New York City. And I don't know, Rachel, have you been in New York City? Have you ever spent time?
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right.
Right when I first got this job.
Okay.
For a couple
All right.
days.
So not that long ago, because you haven't had this job for very long, right?
I think it was September of last year, October
Okay.
of last year, somewhere around in there. Yeah.
All right, so just like basically like yesterday. So I mean, New York is, I get asked like, did you have fun? And I'm like, well, yeah, but you know what? It's mostly it's incredible experience of intensity, right?
Yeah.
Like there's nothing about New York that isn't just off the charts all the time. It isn't all fun. Some of it's gross, right? So it's like overwhelming and smelly and all that. But I have to tell you, like, compared to my home office, it's a sensory experience. So yeah, like that, like I was just, by the time I got back Sunday night, I didn't know where I was. I don't know what I was doing. I couldn't even function. So I couldn't, I went to Tara Trantham, who was supposed to come on Monday. Tara, can we postpone? Can we just go days? And she's like, oh yeah. Okay, thank goodness. Yeah. So any case, you're the first since last, I don't know, a week almost. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
And I know, and other people are so excited to have you here too. Like, I love that you put out your stuff and everybody's like, yeah, Rachel, go get him, Tiger. Okay.
I was like I almost didn't put anything out because I almost didn't want anybody to know. And then I was like, if it goes well, I'll share it later. Okay. But then I decided I got to support Trevor. I got to put it out there, and I just went for it.
And you know what, Rachel, I have felt that support ever since we first met. And I did tell you this in the warm-up. The corn song was awesome, and I'm not going to stop saying that.
You don't need to stop saying it. That's like one of my proudest moments. I have so silly, but that was so fun to make. I spent so long making that and felt so happy after I made it. So
okay. So I have to tell you, I had never heard that song before your lip sync. All right.
Yeah.
You were my first exposure. And I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, what the hell is she singing? I didn't know. And what is it? I don't know. Is that some kind of a kid's song that she's got? Because I know she's got all these kids. So it happened, right? Maybe she make it up. I don't know. And then finally it all started to come together for me. And I'm like, okay, probably your BFF. Yes, let's just be BFFs because good. And you have been there and so supportive and engaged all the time. It's just been awesome to have you as part of the Hotness Unleasher community and now here on 344 Live. And so let's talk about that. Let's talk about your job. All right, for a minute, for a few minutes. So, okay. How did you get started being an SDR? Because you're still pretty new to this gig, right?
Yeah. So I feel like almost like Providence just stepped in and it just happened for me. Literally from like day one, I had a friend reach out to me and she was like, hey, let's do this course together to train to be SDRs. So I do that. My friend ends up deciding she's not going to do it. So she doesn't finish. And I go on and I'm like, do I actually want to do this? Like, I can't decide. Like, what do I want to do? And then I do a couple interviews. And then one day my current manager sends me a message on LinkedIn. He's like, hey, I know Jenny Anderson. Do you want to interview? And I was like, sure. And I ended up vibing with him super well, got the job, and that's how I ended up here. And sometimes I was telling somebody recently, sometimes I feel kind of guilty because you know, some people really grind for this.
Yeah.
It was like life was just like, here you go. Enjoy.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. And sometimes it is like that, right? Sometimes it just happens and you know, we just kind of roll with that. But that's not to say that the SDR job is not hard.
Yeah. There are definitely, it is an interesting job. It's some days I feel like you're being paid to put yourself through like rejection therapy.
Yeah, okay.
You have to learn how to not let, like, other people's perception of you affect you. You have to learn how to find your center within yourself and not depend so much on other people. And if you have struggled with that in your life, jumping into an SDR role, you're going to constantly be hit with, okay, like that really stung. Like,
Mhm.
is something stinging because this guy yelled at me on the phone, or is that like an old wound that's being dug up? So that's
Mm.
my experience. It's this constant, like, whoa, like, why am I
Yeah,
reacting that way? So
yeah,
it
yeah.
takes a lot of mental, like, diving in, not being
Yeah.
afraid to just,
I don't I know? I mean, look, I I
I
do
think a lot
my own I do my own SDR work, and I try to skate around it as best I can, because I'm like, "Oh, I don't want it hurts," it just, "Oh,"
oh, that's gonna hurt.
Yeah, and look, you've got some fans out here. You got Nene and Barbie is
Yeah,
here
that's
for
actually
you.
Nana,
Nana?
technically,
Okay,
yes, rhymes with Jenna, but yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Nana's here.
Nana.
Great. So she's all about it and love it. All right. So you've got some fans, and that is, I think, important part of the SDR culture, right? You have to get like people like in your camp who are
Yes,
still going to be behind you and love you anyway, right? So
definitely.
I'll be
Yeah,
in your camp because I get it, right? It's hard, and what you're doing is difficult.
really
So
appreciate that.
let's do something with it, right? So tell me about AppViewX for a few minutes, right? Tell me what it
Yeah,
is that like what do you got?
yeah,
What's your
so,
stuff?
AppViewX began way back in 2008. Basically, Bank of America had these super complex things called load balancers. I don't know if you know what
Okay.
that is.
Yep.
I'm gonna do, like,
F5 and all that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, exactly. And, there's a lot of delays in that. Every
Okay.
time you need to update something, somebody has to configure that. You've got huge delays. And so our founders saw that issue. They both worked at Bank of America. They built a solution. And that is how we came up with our application delivery solution that basically you've got companies on average who are automating like 30% of the load balancers and the web application firewalls. And our solution can take you to 95%. So
Nice.
no big deal.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
Almost sounds too good to be true, but
Almost.
it is not.
Okay.
Well, yeah, but one of our that is like my manager always calls that our sexy solution.
Mhm.
So that is like that's our sexy solution. That is for the like people who have a large amount of application traffic.
Mhm.
But our like bread and butter, what I'm mostly calling people to talk about is their certificates because those are just pesky little annoying things that are always expiring, always
Yeah.
causing outages. And so that is kind of like we do a lot of talking
Right.
about those.
Okay. So when I went out to the website, that's what I saw, right? I didn't see get rid of your bright red F5 hardware
Well,
thing, right?
we partner with F5.
Okay.
So
So
we
you
like
so
we integrate with them and
okay.
improve the F5s. We're
Okay.
not the load balancer. We're gonna automate it for you.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So you make that red blob shine brighter. Okay, great. So
Right, yeah. We make sure it
perfect.
stays shining.
Okay, so but when I go to appvux.com, I see certificate management stuff. So okay, so give me an example of an app or something that would that like I can relate to in the real world that would benefit.
Yeah. Okay, so you have a work laptop, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, they're this is a machine. It needs an identity. And so the best way, the safest, most secure way to give your machines an identity is with a certificate. Now, you're going to have companies, I'm not going to name any names, but there are some very well-known companies who we're talking like millions of certificates that are being managed in just random ways. One team's managing this way, one team's managing them that way, willy-nilly, certificate here, certificate there. Some companies are using like a Google sheet, and then they're using calendar invites to remind themselves.
Ooh, that
So
sounds nasty.
yeah, you can see how that would get
Yeah.
risky. Like that
Okay.
you've got 50 certificates, you're fine. You start going into 200, 300,
Yeah.
1,000 certificates. How do you
I
even and
no.
then you have to
Not
trust your people
yeah.
to not be human because,
Right. Yeah,
it's
because we
humans,
never because I didn't forget to make my intro 5 seconds before we got here.
right?
Yeah, yeah, okay,
You're
okay.
putting a lot of trust in normal people. And so, what our solution does is it comes in and it scans your networks and it finds all of your certificates. So typically, like when we would have a discovery call with somebody, we'd ask them, how many certificates do you have? They'd be like, we don't really know, like maybe a couple hundred, blah, blah, blah. And then it could end up being way more. Like one of our customers, they had over 1 million certificates. They actually were able to get rid of certificates using our tools. So we come in, find all your certificates so you know where they are, automate all of those end to end, beginning, send you emails or Slack channel when they're close to expiring. But this is the thing that I think is really cool. So recently I got an email saying that my certificate on my laptop was expiring. And I was like, oh my God, what is going on? Like,
how could this be? I work for a certificate management company.
Like, I didn't know this was my responsibility.
Yeah.
So, but it was easy peasy.
Okay.
I went in, I clicked the certificate, I fixed my own certificate, got my computer staying compliant. So that's one of the other things, is that you don't have to be an IT person to be doing this stuff. Like, it's automated to send it out to the right people. They fix their stuff themselves, or to the right team. And you can see everything that everybody's doing.
Okay, so you got the certificate reminder because you work for a certificate management company who has this in place, and all you have to do is push the button, and you're good to go.
Right. Exactly.
That sounds awesome. Okay, got it. So is there anybody else that does this?
Okay, so we do have some competitors, and here's where we differ. We have a few that have started to kind of change their messaging. They're kind of being more ambiguous about it, but we, as far as I know, are still the only ones that are completely vendor agnostic. Like, you're going to have problems where you buy certificates from, say, GoDaddy, maybe from DigiCert, and DigiCert's got like a little thing to manage their certificates. Say you've got, 200 GoDaddy certificates, 200 DigiCert, you've got some AWS certificates. We can manage all of those. Like, we love all vendors. We don't discriminate any of them.
Perfect. That sounds great. All right. So you don't discriminate, you take everybody's certificates, you manage those, and maybe your competitors, they're a little vague on that. Like, okay.
They're kind of vague, and they tack on, I've been told they're prone to tacking on extra fees for full automation. Ours is just ours is just, this is what it is. You pay for a bucket of certificates, and you can go up tiers, and it's not like surprise.
Awesome. Sounds clean and easy and effective, and you can push manage your own certificate at your endpoint in your in your business. Okay, so I got all that right. And if I don't buy it and I don't have certificate management, what happens to my business?
Oh man, well, maybe nothing. Maybe all you have is minor little outages here and there, and you're fine. But
so my website goes down, or my app quits working, or whatever it is.
Yeah, and maybe it's fine. Maybe it doesn't cause any problems for you, and maybe you keep doing that. But then there have been massive stories. Say, for instance, you own like a luxury car company, right? And let's say every car that's purchased is $500,000. Let's say that application goes down. Let's say it takes you hours to figure out that it was a certificate that took it down, because they're so, like, most people don't, even the people working in these fields, like, they'll tell us, we didn't think it was a certificate because it's so simple. So if your app goes down,
and I didn't get a warning, right? Nobody told me. I didn't know.
You could lose millions of dollars. Actually, recently I was talking to a founder, and he had sent me a link to his product, and he was like, hey, can you check this out? So I went to check it out, and it wasn't a valid page. It said there was errors, and I was like, oh, that's weird. So I clicked the certificate, which I never would have known to do before this job, and I saw his certificate was expired, and I almost didn't message him, because I figured he's got to have people telling him, right? I don't want to be the 100th person, but I did. I sent him a message. I was like, hey, I don't think your certificate's valid. And he was like, oh my gosh, thank you. I'm getting ready to have, funders looking at my website. And if they had seen that, that could have killed everything. And I was like, so it's a huge security risk. Huge security risk, huge risk of loss of revenue. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So mitigate so much risk. Just manage my certificates. Buy AppViewX. All right. So how do I do that? Is it expensive? Is it per cert, or how?
Um, it is definitely more is it expensive? That's relative, right? So, it can be upper thousands, you can inch upper thousands. Most of our customers are mid-size,
Okay.
like, business size to enterprise. So, yes, it can be costly when you first look at it.
Okay. So
Um,
it's a business level kind of thing. It's not something that like Mr. Solopreneur creator dude is gonna really.
he doesn't want that, no.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Solopreneur, you're just starting out, you can do the Excel sheet or the Google sheet and the calendar
Yeah.
invites, and you can be fine. Like, that
Right.
would probably be fine. If you are making if you're like a financial company,
Mhm.
you're gonna want something like this most likely. If you're healthcare, you're gonna want something like this. If you have a lot of assets that need certificates,
Yeah.
you're gonna want something like this. If you're
And
making more than 250 million a year, which is usually like that's my low end for when I'm
yeah.
prospecting, you're
Okay.
probably gonna wanna look into something like this. So
Gotcha. Okay.
we are I haven't looked at my competitors' prices, but I'm told that our prices are very competitive, sometimes lower. So
Okay.
a
Okay.
lot of companies end up saving money.
Okay. Perfect.
That's
Because and those outages are expensive too, right? So we
yeah.
can't be having
So
that. And so
usually, yeah, that's usually where the huge, like, cost savings is when
yeah.
you're
Okay.
avoiding
All
that
right.
because you lose, millions in one day. So
Perfect. So we are officially out of time now, but I have one more question and then we
right.
still have to do our tip of the day. And I did threaten we might go over a little bit
We did,
because
we did.
hey, this is our show today, right? So we can do what we want. But we will end pretty soon. All right. So the last thing is what does it take to actually put AppViewX in motion? If I'm a big, let's say I'm a big hospital and I've got, or a big healthcare organization of some kind, and I've got all these apps and they can't go down, and I buy a package. What does it take? How long does it take to get up and running?
Um, so these can be long deal cycles, but realistically, once things are implemented, we're right there with them. And like we had a a customer, and I meant to write down how long it took them, but like we started whipping out certificates for them like within hours of
Okay.
implementing. I think it might have been shorter within minutes. So like
Okay.
if things are moving right, if everybody's motivated and we've got everything signed, correctly, like this can be very quick. It's this automated process with built-in workflows. So you're not
Mhm.
having to go in and like set everything up. We're right
Yeah.
there with you. We've got over 200 workflows built in. Like this is ready to go.
Okay. Awesome. So basically, once the business decides it needs this, executes all the contracting, gets through all the legal procurement, all that stuff,
Right.
bam,
It can be
client
really
success
quick.
hits
Yeah.
the ground and you're off and running and you're up and it's working. Okay, I love
Yeah.
that. Like why not? Why wouldn't you have
Exactly.
this?
And we've
This is
got
the
our
most
customer yeah, we've got our
most
customer success and our solutions engineers, like, they work hard, a lot,
per-
to keep this
perfect.
thing. Yeah.
Okay. I love it. All right. So buy some AppViewX if you've got any number of applications more than a solopreneur because we're just out here hacking away. All right. So this is the end of the show. Thank you very much, everybody, for
Right, yeah,
coming. But we have one more task to do. And Rachel, I know you've been practicing.
yeah,
So
I'm getting a
this is
little bit
it.
nervous,
I'm
but
gonna
okay.
say, let's go. And then you're gonna give me your tip. And then I'm gonna say we're gonna take that to the bank, and then we'll be done. So
Alright,
are you ready?
I'm ready. Ready as I'll
Okay.
ever be.
Okay, let's go.
All right. People use automation as a buzzword, but when you get down to the nitty gritty, how much are you actually automating? On average, companies are automating somewhere around 30% of their load balancers and their application delivery. AppViewX can take you all the way to 95%. We use unified policies to drive compliance and unite your network operations, your security, and your developers under one umbrella. Our products come with built-in workflows to put your spin on it, or you can add your own automation. I think I totally messed that part up, but a lot of room for flexibility there. Everything
Okay,
you're
we'll
doing
take
with
it.
everything you're doing with your load balancers, your web application firewalls, your PKI, and your certificates, we got you. We're centrally managed. We give you the flexibility to upgrade.
I love it. Let's take that to the bank. Okay, Rachel, you're the best. Listen,
Thank
I
you.
love that you were able to come on here, showed your stuff, you handled the product, sold me. I'm ready to go. I'm going to go work for a $250 million or up revenue company and start buying this stuff, by golly.
Sounds great.
So there we go. And that is it. So now I'm going to run my count up timer. Don't go away.
All right. I'll stay right here.
That'll run, and then we're gonna turn this thing off. So thanks to everybody who showed up. We got David Ketchen and Barbie and Deborah Brown, and let's see, Nene and Nathan Hill. Man, it's a great group today. So thanks to everybody who showed up and supported us in this effort, and go buy some AppViewX. All right, with that, we are out of here. Bye.